All right, let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. And if you do have your feet on the ground, have them in a parallel position with the feet, with the soles of the foot flat on the floor, so you can feel the sensations of the floor through your feet. Your knees also about a hip's width apart. Shoulders are aligned with your hips. And imagine your spine is a beautiful string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And just lengthen your spine, putting some space in between the vertebrae. And go to the crown of the head and relax your scalp and the forehead and the eyes, the back of the eye, the nose, the cheeks, the area around your mouth, and the jaw, the temples, the ears, the inner ear. And the back of the head, the base of the skull, the occipital bone. Relax the neck and allow your shoulders and shoulder blades just to drop down. Relax the throat and the chest and the belly and your limbs. Feeling the weight of your pelvis on your sits bones in your chair and the weight of your hands in your lap, whether they're just resting in your lap or in the meditation mudra. And notice the breath sensations now. Those at the nostril, the thoracic cavity, the belly. Be aware of any sensory information in your environment. If it's sound, just allow that sound to be there, trying not to follow with the mind, trying not to investigate. And it's very interesting how our mind just kind of noodles off to see what's going on. A bit like Mrs. Kravis from Bewitched, constantly peeking out behind the curtain, from behind the curtain. And so then just check in with yourself this evening. For some of you, it's afternoon. Some of you, it's almost midnight. And see how you're going. Like, do you ever ask yourself that question? How are you? Just put some space in between the thoughts. Just allow them to arise, to abide, and then, don't grab in onto them. Don't engage with the emotions around the thoughts, the stories, and just allow them to dissipate. And just be curious about this whole process. the contents of your mind, and also be objective. And then bring to mind all these beautiful people in our life, our loved ones. Sometimes I think about some of these people in my life who've passed through, who're still in my life, and it's like, wow, these people are amazing. And then of course, we have the amazing ones, and then we have these people in our life who are strangers, like every time I get on the road, there's a ton of them. And do I care whether that person in the pink car, 5 cars ahead of me, has X, Y, and Z going on? Not really. Do I care if they just lost their house? It would be like, oh gosh, that must be difficult. But, it wouldn't be a thought that would last more than maybe a few minutes. Maybe I'd reflect on it and think about them, but it's not quite the same impact as if my best friend lost their house, their housing. And then there's people in our life that we don't really like due to impermanence. These relationships are interchangeable and they can change place. How we feel about people changes. And regardless, they're all equal. They all want to be happy. They don't want to suffer. And they all have this extraordinary capacity for a Buddha mind. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind and we can change it equally by creating positivity instead. And we start with this power of regret. So we're doing this Vajrasattva practice in the context of the 4 opponent powers. So regret is not guilt. Guilt's more like, oh gosh, I'm a really bad person. I feel so horrible, blah, 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 blah. Regret is like, yeah, of course you feel bad, but it's more taking a sense of taking responsibility. Like, okay, gosh, the implication is that you're going to, you know, resolve to change. So it's excellent. Lamsa Rinpoche would always, say, he said frequently about regret is that the regret is also a powerful tool of purification if it's done sincerely. So from the depths of your heart, anything regret you've done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives, and think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And so, having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we might experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So, logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want their future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance. So we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor, who has these methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we need the Buddha to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So you imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of this beautiful, radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion, for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these. This is symbolizing enlightenment, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So we have a little section here on developing compassion. And in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed, and those who have harmed us by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently, and then in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them sometime in the future. So here we can make a really strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings in our life, and think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to the power remedy, and this is the actual medicine. Doing this practice, we use visualization and mantra. So we start with the body, and imagine Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely, and it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, and this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyatsa Sawakama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified. And think that there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech. And Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra. And it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So imagine all the inappropriate speech and all the gossip and harsh speech and all the useless rabbiting on and lying, talking about people behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita Jida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So now feel you're so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of our mind. And Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart, and this arcs around and kind of enters your crown and fills your entire being. So you imagine you've walked into a pitch black room and you flick on the switch, and the light that comes instantly dispels the darkness. So you imagine the same here. The moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment and neediness, bitterness, your grudges, anxiety, jealousy, depression, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa, sitokaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anorakta meboa, sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawakama sitame, sitam shriyam guru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe, ambhadrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita, Drita meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anorakta meboa, sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawakama sitame, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And think now there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. Next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of our body, speech, and mind. So this time we imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, and it fills you completely. So the nectar flowing down, pushing out all the negativities of the body, the nectar flowing up, pushing out all the negativities of the speech, and then the light blasting all the delusions. So it completely eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your mind. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawakama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawakama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawakama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawakama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawakama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta me boa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe vajrasafa samaya manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita trita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa Anurakta me boa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva hum pe. So now feel completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to the power of resolve. And this is the fourth and final step in the purification process. And it's a really crucial one. This is this determination to refrain from harming with our body and our speech and our mind. So without making some kind of decision, nothing's really going to happen. So this determination, this aspiration to refrain from harming becomes like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new and positive directions. So really, really give yourselves a pat on the back for coming along and doing this practice night after night. You know, everybody's got something going on. Some people are very late, some people are early. So, you know, just rejoice in your efforts. And then think about something you'd like to work on between now and tomorrow. And it could be just as simple as rumination. Make a mental note. Don't make it too complicated or difficult. Just a simple thing. And then think this determination to refrain from harming gives us some strength to change, gives us a little bit of a structure. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind and melts into light, to white light, and absorbs into you through your crown. And you think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So let's just dedicate. Oh, we do a little bit of meditation on emptiness first. Even if you only understand the word, just allow your mind to rest there. In emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So we can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. And we can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings and think, may all the virtuous karma I have created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. Okay, let's do our chanting the names of Manjushri. Joy. Are we up to 15 or 16? I think it's 16. Okay. With this request to the Tathagata, the master of all secrets, Vajrapani, his body bowed, his palms politely joined, then stood before the Lord devotedly. 2. The reply, and so the Blessed One, Lord Shakyamuni, the best of men, the fully awakened one, extending from his mouth his handsome tongue, a tongue unmatched in both its breadth and length, displaying a gentle smile to living beings, a smile that fills the threefold world with light, that tames the enemy, the four maras, that ends unwanted birth in all three forms. Okay, everybody. Let's have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, for the swift return of or the swift discovery of our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for all of your own individual teachers. Okay. Thank you, Tejo, so much for hosting. Lots of love, everybody. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. No, Tomorrow's Wednesday. Okay. All right. Thanks.